7-30-am, a pleasant good morning. Welcome to Rudraaya. I'm your host, Nisha Sharma, and Rudraaya is being brought to you with the kind compliments of Maharudradev Mandir. And of course, the Mandir is located at 850 Tapscott Road, Unit 34 in Scarborough, with Tapscott and McNichol being our closest intersection. So just wanted to say, I hope you all, had a great Sri Ganeshi Jayanti. It was yesterday. And of course, the entire world celebrated Ganesh Jayanti, and during this time we know that prayer to Lord Ganesha is so important because Sri Ganesha is the remover of obstacles and challenges. So throughout the program today we will be speaking about removing obstacles and challenges from your own life, and so we will get straight into our pravachan with our spiritual leader Pandit Ravi Sharma. Enjoy.
जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
लंबोदर पीतांबर सुहे हरिमल मुकुटल गंधत न्यारे लंबोदर पीतांबर सुहे हरिमल मुकुटल गंधत न्यारे गजमरी माल गले विघ्न सोहे बाल लागे चंद्र कलागे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हरे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हरे
गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
मोदक लेत देत धमने जब तुम कचलत नूपुर जनकारे मोदक लेत देत धमने जब तुम कचलत नूपुर जनकारे रिद्धि सिद्धि दो चमन दुलावत सुर समोह लेती होत सुपाए गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हरे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हरे
गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हारे
जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय
जय गणेश जय गणपति जय जय. Ganesh Chauthi is called, as we said earlier on, or Ganesh Janma, Ganesh Jayanti. We cannot call it birth, but rather the manifestation of where the Lord has come. By now, I'm sure that everyone is more than familiar with the origin or a common katha on how Shri Ganeshi came and he took manifestation. So everyone is accustomed or should be accustomed of the manifestation of Shri Ganeshi. But there is also another version that has been given in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. It is a little bit less known, so it's a common one. In this, Bhagwan Shivaji, he comes and he asks Goddess Parvati to go and perform a vrata for 1 year. The teachings of the Punyak Vrata, a holy text. And in so doing, she'll be blessed with a child, with a son. And so she performed this Vrata with due diligence, with faith, Shraddha. And so when the child was born, all the gods and all the goddesses, devas, they all assembled because they wanted to give their blessings. It is said that the Navgraha Devatas and 9 Grahas, they also came. But there is said that Shanideva, he always has his eyes down, for it is indicated that if Shanideva were to look upon an individual, then it causes them bad luck for 7 years. Hence many will perform special worship or special Graha Puja, especially on the Saturday. And so when Shanideva came, he bent his head and he put his hands in such manner to bless Shri Ganeshi. And so Parvati asked him that what is the reason now? Why are you not looking at my child? And so Shani indicated that if he were to look, that looking at this child, it will prove to be fatal. But Parvati Devi, she insisted. And of course, when Shanideva, he looked at the child, the head was severed off. Distressed, it is said that she began to wail. And so immediately, notice the version given from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, that Bhagavan Sri Narayan, he goes and he brings forth the first head, the first child, where he takes the first child life. And that was a young baby calf, an elephant, that was just born. And so he brought forth this head. It was attached. And so life was given. And of course, as we indicated, that many of the different Puranas give us different explanations on the manifestation of Shri Ganeshi. There's the followers of Lord Shiva, they are called the Shaivites. The followers of Ma Shakti, they are called the Shaktas. The followers of Lord Ganesha, that perhaps you will see in worship, we will join our hands together. In the worship of Shri Ganeshi, devotees will take their knuckles and they will hit their head. So this is part of their worship. They are called as the Ganapatas. And so this most auspicious day, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Mangal Murti Moria.
जय गणराया श्री गणराया जय गणराया श्री गणराया मंगल मूर्ति मोरया
Siddhivinayaka Mangaladahata
Siddhivinayaka Mangaladata
Siddhivinayaka Mangaladayak Mangalamurti Moria
Siddhivinayaka Mangaladayak Ganpati Bappa Moria
Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Mangalamurti Moria
Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Mangalamurti Moria
Sinduravadana Pankajramana
Sinduravarana Pankajramana
Sinduravadana Pankajramana
Sinduravarana Pankajramana
Sinduravarna Pankajramana Mangalamurti Moria
Sinduravarana Pankajramana Ganpati Bappa Moria
Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Mangalamurti Moria
Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Jai Ganaraya Shri Ganaraya Mangalamurti Moria
Mangalamurti Moria
Mangalamurti Moria
Mangalamurti Moria
Sam Samunder, Extra Staffing Solutions. Sam and his team have been providing quality temporary staffing to various companies throughout the GTA since 2001. We have competitive rates, we take care of all your recruitment needs and payroll cost, and we provide transportation. Our friendly and knowledgeable recruiters are here to assist you, whether you are looking for permanent or temporary employees, for industrial or office needs. So call us now at 647-693-7745 or visit our website at www.extrastaffing.ca. My dear viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this morning's pravachan, and of course, as you know, due to the current situation, Ganesh Visarjan is always well celebrated with the immersion of the murtis into the lake. And of course, for this year, celebrations are also ongoing. However, we are very particular about attendance and that type of thing. So just to let you know that the Federation of Hindu Temples will be hosting Ganesh Visarjan on Saturday, August the 29th, but it will be by pre-registration only. So if you would like to attend, please contact us, and we will be sure to send you the form where you can pre-register. I'll give you some more information as we progress through the program. For now, we will join our own Dr. Sachin Ramkisoon for our health segment.
Sitaram, and welcome to Health Corner. I am Dr. Sachin Ramkisoon, and today is the second episode in our series on heat-related injuries. Today we're discussing sun exposure and the recommended Canadian guidelines for protecting yourself in the sun. During the summer months, we are all eager to enjoy the warm outdoors as much as possible. Recently, the new Canadian Sun Safety Guidelines were published and highlights what we can all do to enjoy the warm weather safely. Sun exposure has some very positive effects, such as helping with vitamin D production, strengthening bones, boosting the body's immune system, and increasing our mood. However, overexposure to the ultraviolet rays of the sun can also have adverse health effects, such as sunburns, premature aging of the skin, cataract formation, and skin cancers such as melanoma. These ultraviolet rays are often reported as the UV index on weather forecasts. This UV index is a useful tool when it comes to sun protection, as it tells you the strength of the sun's UV rays for that day. The new guidelines are a set of common sense tools that you can use to reduce your exposure to the sun's damaging UV rays. The first is to check the daily UV index during the summer months. This will allow you to gauge how intense the sun's level will be and take necessary precautions. If the rating is 3 or over, then you should use sun protection or precaution. The second is to dress appropriately. It is now recommended that covering up with clothing is better at protecting your skin from the sun than anything else, including sunscreen. Wear a hat, long sleeve shirt, and long pants if you are going out to protect your skin from the sun. There are even special materials that many summer clothes are made of that protect you from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. The next recommendation is that sunscreen be used whenever going out into the sun, and use a minimum of SP 30 or above. This has been recently increased from the previous recommendation of SPF 15. It is also recommended to use water-resistant sunscreen whenever possible, since this tends to stay on the skin longer while sweating or going into the water. The fourth recommendation is to avoid the sun or use extra skin protection between the peak sun hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. In Canada, this is typically between April and September. The next recommendation is to avoid any indoor tanning beds, since the amount of ultraviolet exposure can be up to 5 times what you would typically get in a typical afternoon. The last recommendation is to seek enough shade throughout the day if you have to be outside during peak hours. This means taking an umbrella, broad hat, or staying under shaded areas. These common sense recommendations are simple reminders of what we can do to reduce the cumulative skin damage from the sun. We should also remember that those that are most vulnerable to sun damage tend to be babies, young children, and the elderly. Extra precaution is recommended in these populations. Interestingly, a recent study has found that car side windows do not offer much ultraviolet protection, even when they are factory tinted. I hope this talk helps you enjoy the summer months more safely and gives you an overview of the Canadian Sun Safety Guidelines. Next week, we will conclude our 3-part series on heat-related injuries. Thank you for joining me on Health Corner, and I look forward to speaking with you next week on Rudraaya.
Sam Samunder, Extra Staffing Solutions. Sam and his team have been providing quality temporary staffing to various companies throughout the GTA since 2001. We have competitive rates, we take care of all your recruitment needs and payroll costs, and we provide transportation. Our friendly and knowledgeable recruiters are here to assist you, whether you are looking for permanent or temporary employees, for industrial or office needs. So call us now at 647-693-7745 or visit our website at www.extrastaffing.ca. So my dear viewers, I hope you've enjoyed that segment of that health topic presented by Dr. Sachin Ramkisoon. And of course, we move straight into our corporate segment with our host, Kamalji from Lotus Funeral Home. My dear viewers, today I have the pleasure of meeting Kamal again. And if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we also did an interview right here on Rudraaya with Kamalji with respect to the happenings at Lotus Funeral Home. So Kamalji, welcome again.
Thank you.
It's nice to
to
be in your presence, especially, we look for that sort of connection or to meet each other, that's socializing, any kind of socializing during this time. So it's nice again to have you here with us on Rudraaya. This past week, attended a funeral service at Lotus Funeral Home. And I was really amazed, Kamal, with respect to the health protocols that Lotus Funeral Home is currently administering for funeral services. And one of the things where, the flow of people and how you seated them and that type of thing. The seats were typically 2 meters apart. If you came with a family member, you were allowed to sort of sit together. But if you came separate, you had to maintain that. And the settings of the whole place was arranged as such. But the one thing that I noticed was, and I guess you didn't have control over that, where, the thing that you don't have control over is when that time comes to go to view the body and people sort of, at that time, back home, people were not very excited to go view the body. But here, you have everybody who attends a service actually comes to view the body. And that's where they were having a little bit of difficulty in maintaining that social distancing. So can you tell the audience a little bit about that, and also how do you sort of try to administer that or police that with respect to people maintaining that social distancing?
So, and that's absolutely right. So what happens is when families are coming in, all sorts of protocols are being followed. They're logging their names in, they're seating separately
Yes.
with 6 meters apart. And when it's time for the viewing, announcements are made that when you are coming forward, please refrain from hugging the family, put your
Right.
hands together, say namaste or my condolences, and move on. What happens is you have people who haven't seen each other for a while.
Yes.
And you can strategically stand there next to them,
Yeah.
but every single person is, what you're finding is, especially when it's a close family, maybe some extended family have come, their first instinct is want to hug.
Yes,
right?
of course.
And that's an emotional time, they're grieving. There's tears coming down their eyes, not only for the family member, but for the guests who are coming to see them.
Yes.
They had an emotional connection to that
Yes.
person who's parted as well, and they want to hug the person. So it's raw emotions that are coming out. And so
Yes.
no matter all these things that we are now taught during these COVID times to refrain from shaking hands and things like that,
Yeah.
they have this natural tendency just to forget it and want to hug. And that's where the difficulty is,
Yes,
because it's raw
yes,
emotions,
yes,
right?
yes.
Although we will say, please, once again, please refrain.
Remind them, yes.
Constant reminders, because we're standing there reminding people constantly.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and yes, and we tend to, I mean, especially at weddings and funerals, we see people and relatives who we haven't seen for a long time. So a natural tendency is when you see, our community and people in your community or your friends or family to hug, because, that shows, your love and how much you miss them. But as Kamalji said, just also be mindful that during this time we must, and I know it's a new way of living for us, and it's a mindset that will need to be developed over time, but to also remember that, and not only in the funeral homes, but when we go to any gatherings, that we should also maintain that social distancing. But apart from that, I must say that, when I walked into the funeral home, I was greeted, by one of your funeral directors, and you had the signing in, which is a contact list you were keeping. They were really administering that part of it, as well as the hand sanitizing. I was offered a mask. I had a mask, but you were offering masks there as well. And there was not a backlog of people at the door trying to get in, which, showed that you managed the flow of people coming in. And, to my great surprise, when I entered the funeral service hall, there were over 100 people there, and all sitting 2 meters apart, which was very well, administered. So, Kamalji, anything you wanted to add, again, in terms of just reminding people when they come to, especially funeral services, anything that you want them to be mindful of, or...
Well, absolutely. I mean, the main thing is, even when you're leaving, put some hand sanitizer on again as you exit. When you get home, wash your hands, right? Nothing beats washing hands, actually.
Yes,
Properly.
exactly. Yes.
Take a shower if you have to, but, try to do all those kind of things that will prevent for any contamination going into your homes. Very important to do.
Yeah. And just to, sort of to end off and to also explain, I mean, having witnessed the ceremony, the prayer, the blessing of the body, and there was absolutely nothing that was missed. All the steps in terms of what Kamalji sort of allows at the funeral home, everything was carried out, and nothing was cut short, or the family members were not, there was no not being able to do this or perform this particular step. Everything was done, so it clearly shows that Lotus Funeral Home is also trying its best to ensure that, when we do say goodbye to a loved one, that all the rituals are performed, all the steps are followed, because it's so, important, and that you're really doing your due diligence to ensure that, that last goodbye and that last send-off is done really well. So I just want to,
And just to add to that,
Yeah.
what we're also doing, and we've been doing for a while now, is those who can't even attend, with the social media, with the
Yes.
Zoom options, we actually had several speeches from people from New York,
Wow,
from
yes.
Trinidad,
Yeah.
from Europe, and they were all on scheduled times where they came and they spoke on the,
Yes. Yes.
obviously not on the mic, but you could hear them in the building as
Yes.
like they were there, but they were being watched on video or just being heard, and they were speaking from another country. So it's now, the world's gotten smaller in that respect, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
people are now doing those kind of things, unable to attend, but still being part of it that way.
Yeah. Which you know what, it is beneficial, because I think before all of this, we never paid so much attention on social media and getting people involved in our services, even right here at Maharajit Mandir. Even though we limited capacity and we're limiting our services, we're still actually getting so much of hundreds of people to tune in to participate, which is totally different. It's a different way of sort of inviting people and having them participate in any ceremony. So thank you so much, Kamalji, for joining us.
Life is beautiful, but death is inevitable. I realized this when my dad passed away. So much pain, and amidst all this, the worry of arranging a funeral. Thankfully, in all this, Kamal stood by me. From the viewing to the cremation, he arranged it all at one location. Once someone is gone, they don't come back. But Lotus Funeral Home knows how to give them a respectable farewell.
Lotus Funeral Home. Life must be celebrated.
My dear viewers, we've come to the end of another segment of Rudraaya. I remind you that at Maharajit Mandir, we do remain closed to the public. However, services are continuing as you have been joining us. Last night, we went live for our Ganesha Jayanti service. And of course, you continue to join us via our live streaming services. And so we continue to have service in that format. If you would like to meet Pandit Ravi to do any private prayer at the temple or to have a Patra reading, we are taking bookings by appointment only. So we urge you to please reach out and ensure that you do secure an appointment with Pandit, because he's booking up really quickly to do that private prayer or to meet with him for wellness, for mental health, to do Patra reading, whatever it is that you would need his services for. We do urge you to call us at the number on the screen so that we can book an appointment for you so that you can meet with Pandit. We also want to remind you of the Ganesh Visarjan celebrations that are going to be at the Pickering Lake on August the 29th. And if you would like to register to attend, please do contact us as well, and we will be sure to send you the pre-registration form for you to attend. My dear viewers, I just want to remind you, or talk about today's theme being humble, to be humble, and especially during this time of this COVID situations, it is very easy for us to get angry or agitated and, forget that humility sort of characteristic. So, you just remind yourself of these words, that I will forever remain humble because I know I could have less. I will always be grateful because I know I've had less. So my dear viewers, until we meet again right here on Rudraaya next week, I wish all of you a happy and safe week. And also may Sri Ganesha bless you, and whatever obstacles or challenges you're going through at this time, may the Lord remove those obstacles, or at least give you the courage and the willpower to carry on. Namaste.
काशी जी के विश्वनाथ, काशी जी के विश्वनाथ, नाथ के नाथ मेरे बम 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 भोला बजावे